Welcome everyone to Bloomeranga's podcast on creativity. I'm super excited to introduce you today with Ekaterina Solomeina, who is the co-founder of Future London Academy. And I'm sure that a lot of you already know her and you have seen her. She's very active in the design community. So welcome, Katerina. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Egle. I'm so excited.
Wonderful. So, for those of you who don't know about the Future London Academy, it's executive education school. So, for all of those design leaders, right, or aspiring design leaders, it's kind of a gateway to up level your skills and really learn from the top professionals in the world, how to lead design teams, how to set up strategies and so forth. So I think Katerina will be the better person to introduce what Future London Academy is all about.
Sure, thank you. And I think that the story of Future Land Academy obviously came from my own pain and story because I worked as a creative director for a long time, and I was lucky to work in the era where creativity and design were not separated. So I was working in advertising, I worked in branding, I worked in what was called then multimedia design or digital design.
There
So I
was
worked Yes, so web and flash, all of that jazz. So I worked across a variety of industries, and at some point, I kind of reached the success that I suppose I wanted to. I won some awards. I already worked with incredible minds like Michael Wolff, the founder of Wolff Olins. I worked with Donatella Versace. So by all standards, I felt like I achieved everything I wanted, but I was still young. I wanted to learn more when our careers don't stop when we're in our 30s and 40s. So I was questioning, what am I supposed to do for the next 10, 20 years? And I couldn't find a place where I could learn more things or more new things or things that will be helpful for me while I'm already very good at my creative job. What else do I need to learn? And essentially, that's how Futureland Academy started 13 years ago. I just thought I would love to learn from people that I admire in the industry who are 10, 20, 30 years ahead of me about how they think, what they do, how they achieve their success. So we started doing a variety of courses around branding, future branding, product design strategy, and then it kind of evolved to what you described as executive MBA program that we run. That is more for people with 15 plus years of experience who want learn more about the business side, understand finance, operations, and all these other things that creatives are never taught. So yeah, 13 years later, it's an incredible international company that I'm very proud to be part of. And I still learn every single day from every single course we have. And I feel like I have literally the luckiest job on the planet because I'm constantly surrounded by people I admire and want to learn from. And especially in the world that we live right now, they change so fast. Expectations change all the time. The ability to learn at all times, I think it's the biggest asset any of us can have, and I have it every day, which is a lot of fun.
Yes, wonderful. And I think it's should be very rewarding to make such an impact, right, in the community and to help others grow, isn't it? So I can imagine that it's very much needed and very much fulfilling job that you do.
Yeah.
It's quite very exciting. So I saw that in your latest program that you are running, you are inviting designers to really like travel to companies, right, that are in the top of their game and learn from the designers there. So it's not just online courses that are self-paced that you can take, but also these sort of real life learning experiences, and not just in London. So can you tell a little bit more? Why was this decision taken to provide such experiences, and what is different from online learning? And yeah, it looks very interesting and rare to.
You're right, it is rare. And the story is that we actually started from doing in-person courses. I was against online education for so long. I love humans. I love meeting in real life. I love talking to people, and especially creative people. I feel like you can learn so much from a different type of creative, someone from outside of the industry, outside of your culture. There is so much richness in conversations when you're in the same room, and especially when you're having this in between conversations, not even about design or your job, but more about the things you just saw, or being in London, that's like the richest playground in the world because everything you see is so inspiring and creative. So we started with in-person courses where we would take people to all famous creative agencies from Pentagram and AKQA to Google and like big brands like Diageo. And we always believe that learning has to be contextual. This is the reason why we only have programs taught by the industry leaders. So we don't have any academics. We don't have any people who haven't done the actual thing they're teaching. So if someone is teaching you leadership, they led teams of all sizes. If someone is teaching you branding, they launched brands many, many times and they know what they are talking about, and they can talk about things that work and don't work, things how they failed and what they learned from that. So we always had the premise that it has to be taught by the industry, it has to be contextualized to real examples and case studies that are happening now, not 50 years ago. And with that premise, we kind of constantly kept evolving our courses. And at some point, we realized that if we want to create an impact with the learning, and learning can have incredible impact on societies, cultures, but also creative community, because again, that's what provides you this extra competitive advantage. Also, it provides inspiration. It actually motivates you to do cool and more incredible work that all of us will enjoy. And at some point, we realized we have to launch online because, as much as we love doing programs in London, and London is, I'm very biased, but the best place to be for a creative person because it is so rich and inspiring. Like literally every single street you can get inspiration from. So we were very cautious about launching online to make sure we preserve that essence of contextual, current, and connected. So it has to be contextualized to real industry, real case studies. It has to be current. It can't be 50-year-old case studies. It has to always keep being refreshed. It has to be topical of what will be helpful to the community right now. And it has to be connected. Again, that piece about meeting humans, about actually having that odd interaction with someone. How can we bring that to online? So that was kind of brief for ourselves when we decided to think about online. How can we translate what we've been very successfully doing in person and what people loved us for? And everyone who ever been to our programs, if anyone listening, they know that first of all, they come every year. So we had, when we did these short programs, we had many people who would come literally as their annual trip. There were people who also obviously recommend their colleagues. So when we launched online, we made lots of very deliberate steps to make sure we could deliver the same assets, but at the scale where some people who never would be able to travel to London could still access the same knowledge, the same community, the same information. And that's how we launched our first online course, which was actually incredible journey to see how our community reacts to it. I think we literally sold it 30 minutes from when we announced it. It was fascinating to see how our community reacts to obviously things that we launch, because by that time I think we've been running the company for maybe 7 years. So it's already had a great reputation in the industry. Everyone already knew what we were trying to do. And yeah, people loved what we done online. And I think what we learned from launching online as well, that it actually attracts people who maybe we would have never been able to connect to in any other way. We had one person sending us feedback. Thank you so much for the course. As a triathlete, father with incredibly demanding job, it was always impossible for me to do any of your in-person courses. So this self-paced online was the best decision I've ever made, because I could do it in my own time. I could squeeze it around my busy schedule and actually get the knowledge when I need it. And again, they're all very practical. So it's everything that people learn on any of our courses, they can apply straight away and see results. So this person was actually, I think, doing was creative leadership course, which is again how you should lead teams, where you should step in the creative decisions, whether I will step away and let the team figure out how to manage them, how to hire the great talent, all of these things that again very difficult to find anywhere, because they are more for kind of senior audience who already knows the creative parts and wants more of the leadership part. So it was really great to hear feedback like that. And now, yeah, now we run both. We have our in-person experience. Our executive MBA is in person in London and California, and we have online courses, fully self-paced for anyone who has incredibly busy lives and tries to squeeze learning in between all the other things they're trying to do. And yeah, I suppose there is a beauty in both.
Right, for sure. So, you are very much like on the pulse, right, of what's happening these days in the community and what the top designers or design leaders are thinking about and planning for. Um, Within this current context of AI, right, and the very fast-paced life that we all live, what do you think are the skills of the future for a creative leader? What everyone should be shaping themselves or their team towards, since everything is changing so fast.
Great question. And I was actually discussing that with one of our curators from Creative Leadership course. And I feel like the core fundamental skills of a creative and a leader are more relevant than ever. As technology changes, I think there are so many things that get commoditized around just practical, I suppose, technical skills, that what becomes even more relevant and valuable is our ability to come up with ideas, solve nonlinear problems, empathize, see opportunities where everyone else doesn't, curate special experiences. So all these things that we as creatives and designers are naturally good at, they are more relevant than ever. And I feel like that's a very unique time for a creative, where we should almost double down on our core skills of imagination, understanding systems, really thinking about problems in a different way. And that's what we can bring not just to our projects, creative projects, but actually what businesses now really, really want to see from anyone. And I feel like that's the best time to be a creative or a designer, because you are able not just to create impact in a creative or design department, but actually create a business impact, because businesses need that creative problem solving and innovation and nonlinear thinking at the C-suite.
Yes, very much so. So, how can those environments where this can be cultivated and nurtured be created, let's say, in businesses and organizations? So we can, as creatives, kind of open up that more, right, and put to productive use. What do you think would be the best practices for organizations to keep in mind?
For organizations or for creatives in the organizations?
Well, I guess both. I mean, environment where we work also has to allow us to cultivate that, right? So that comes from very top leadership, I would
Yeah.
assume. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
guess
suppose.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it again depends on what, as a like, whoever's listening, are you a CEO who can make changes, or you're creative director, head of design, or design leader who is trying to make the difference in a company. If you are a creative who now realize that you can offer more to the organization than what you've been traditionally seen as, that you're not just a visualizer, that you don't just do pretty things and kind of do the final stage of the project, but actually you're a great strategic thinker. You can solve this nonlinear problem. So how can you offer this talent to the high levels in the organizations? And number one thing that I tell every single designer is learn the business side. As much as we as creatives and designers don't like spreadsheets and numbers, unfortunately, that's the language that the top level speaks. And if you want to get through to them, you need to speak their language. You still should care about things you should care about, but you just should translate them into the language that the business units understand. It's like, again, speaking Japanese and English or whatever two languages that just you have to translate it to one. You can preserve your culture, you can preserve everything that you're very passionate about, but you have to translate it in the language that the other side will understand. Otherwise, you just try shout louder, but still the message won't come across. So if you want to show that you are capable of bringing strategic value, start to understand all the language of P&L, CAC and LTV, TAM, SAM, SOM, all these terms that are used in other parts of the business, and understand how can you translate your impact, whether it is you're designing a product, why we're launching this new feature. Is it to acquire kind of new customer base that maybe hasn't been using our apps? Therefore, how do we measure if what I've designed is a success? Is it by new downloads? Is it by time in the app? Is it by how much revenue this new feature brings? Like, try to understand the metric that your leadership team actually cares about. And then when you present your work, you don't just present a seamless user experience, a beautiful brand, whatever you care about a designer, but you also present the business value. This is the brand that helped us to gain new audience that we never interacted with. This is the feature that increased our LTV or CLV, customer lifetime value. So when you present your work in that way, leadership starts paying attention because they understand that you actually care about their business and you can actually make a difference to their revenue. So therefore, they will want to give you more responsibilities, more work. They would want to promote you to the high level. And essentially, this is how all promotions happen.
Right, right, very much so. It's sort of like the creativity needs to also provide value, right, in the business context and translate to tangible results. Whereas a lot of creatives, we maybe look at creativity as more like self-expression
Mm.
tool rather than like a business tool, right? And that needs to be very much separated.
I feel like creatives and designers in general reject their idea of business knowledge because they feel like they will lose the creative side.
Yes, very much
But
so.
it is so not true. It's like saying that by learning another language, you will forget your own. I mean, it will be your choice to not utilize your own language, but it actually will give you a richer palette of understanding the world. So same with learning business, it's not going to limit you as a creative. It actually will expand what you can do and the impact you can create, whether it's in a business or in the world. Because again, if you want to have more influence, more impact with products you create, with the company you are growing, if you are a founder of a creative agency, you have to understand how to grow it financially so you have more resources to actually do more work and influence more people. So it's not one or another. I think like one definitely enhances your other abilities, and definitely creatives should never lose their ability to think creatively and just be who they are, and I suppose be curious about the world in a way that only creatives and designers can be.
Right, very much so. The World Forum right now actually ranked creative thinking as one of the top 5 skills that anyone in the workforce like is very much valued in the workforce in the upcoming future. How do you understand what creative thinking is?
I'm always skeptical about this big announcement when some big economic forum or something decided what the top skills are. I feel like it always been one of the top skills. Like I think creativity is literally what we are born with as humans, whether we decide to exercise it or not throughout our lives. That's unfortunately down to many circumstances and our personal decisions. But in general, creativity is literally one of the fundamentals aspects of being a human. Creativity within the work environment, creativity as a professional skill or something that you have a job in, I feel like it is gaining momentum because, again, all the other skills are being outsourced potentially to technologies. So the only thing that so far stays uniquely human is our ability to imagine things that never existed before, its ability to problem solve, not following the pattern that already existed before, connect the dots that never been connected before. So, yes, I agree. I think creativity is number one skill and always has been. And I just hope that with that, more creatives and designers will actually gain the influence and the power to be in those leadership positions, to grow their companies, because I do believe the more creatives and designers we have at leadership positions, the better our world will be. Because if there is not just a CFO, COO, and CEO making the decision about the future of the business, but if there is a chief design officer in that room, then the decisions won't be made just purely from financial perspective and just kind of trying to solve problems in a linear way. The chief design officer, chief creative officer will help business leaders to actually consider the bigger context of humans and the planet, and come up with solutions that are not just financially beneficial, which is important for the company. It's again, companies exist because they're financially successful, but also they can be good for the planet, they can be good for humanity and humans. So I want more creative and designers to be at sea level, so we all benefit as society from it, because we will be surrounded by brands, companies, organizations, and governments who make better decisions for all of us.
Yes, that's beautiful. I very much would love that to see happening as well.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I just wanted to send a quick reminder that we have just launched a new subscription, and if you are looking to unlock creativity in a variety of formats, get access to our digital tools and online creative sessions, check us out. I hope I'll see you inside.
You recently co-created the report, "The Future of Creativity," with Off Barcelona, right? That
Yes.
we all received it, the ones that are at least following you. So, would you mind telling a bit more about the main insights that you kind of see of where creativity is going, how it's gonna be shaping our lives?
Sure. I can actually share my screen and share a few things, and we'll obviously link this uh, in the notes to make sure that everyone can go to our page and download it. But I think we started thinking about what is the future of creativity. I mean, it's in our name, Future London Academy. It's all about the future, so we constantly think about what is the future of branding, what is the future of product design, what is the future of leadership. And we kind of had this broader question, what is the future of creativity? And we're good friends with Off Barcelona. They're wonderful. If anyone hasn't been to their conferences, please go. It's sunny. Barcelona is always a good decision. And they basically, we decided to collaborate on this report. So we interviewed people at the conference as well as within our community about what they see as the future of creativity. And again, we took kind of few different approaches about, we wanted to know what's the ideal size of the company is to create great work. If best creativity is done in the office, remotely in a hybrid environment? Where does it sit? What should we be prepared for? As well as what is the new generation thinking? We wanted to interview both like leaders with 25, 30 years of experience, but also people just coming into the industry who have completely different perspective on what creativity is and could be. So it's quite fascinating. And obviously we were very playful with our design of it, which was especially fun for us as a team. I think the one that I like the most as a statistics that we found that 80% of creatives would prefer working in a company under 50 people in size. I feel like that's quite a counterintuitive finding that basically creatives prefer smaller companies. And it's actually really good reflection on where the industry is going overall, not just creative, but what the future of companies are with technologies advancing our capabilities. We potentially won't need huge teams to create the same results. So it's actually the best opportunity for creatives and for anyone to work in smaller teams and utilize the benefits of global network that we're all part of now. We can reach anyone, anywhere in the world. We can utilize any technology and knowledge so easily accessible to us. So it's probably the best time to have smaller teams. And it is what people want. So I feel like that's such a positive, I suppose, insight that yes, companies are becoming smaller, but this is exactly what people enjoy doing the most, work in smaller teams. We actually
That's so interesting. Mm-hmm.
we interviewed Stefan Zegmeister a few years back, and he's a very famous person in the world of graphic design branding, and he was reflecting on his career as well, because he had his branding agency with Jessica Walsh, Zegmeister and Walsh, and then now he stepped away and his own kind of consultancy. They're small in
And she
size,
has
and
her own agency right now,
yeah,
right?
and she has her own beautiful agency. So they're both equally successful. They're both equally inspiring. And he was reflecting that his best work and his best, I suppose, fulfillment came from working in teams of 5, 6 people. So really small teams. He tried it all. He tried large teams. He tried smaller teams. He tried medium teams. And he, as a professional, as a creative designer, realized that his sweet spot is these smaller teams. And it does feel like this trend keeps continuing, that people, especially creative people, prefer the teams where you know everyone, you can be flexible, you can, again, collaborate with lots of other creatives if you need for a project, but your core team stays small. And I feel like London is actually very unique in that sense, because traditionally and historically, agencies in London were, or many agencies in London were quite small. I think we're a small country, and therefore everything is a bit smaller. Houses are a bit smaller, agencies are a bit smaller, but they're creating incredible international projects and something that is seen by the world. And everyone always kind of questions, how do companies of that size produce so much great work? And the answer is collaboration. When you are small in size, your only choice is to collaborate, not compete, because you cannot have every single discipline in-house. So if you are the best graphic design agency in London, then you want to collaborate with the best animation studio, the best cinematographers, video motion designers, like anyone else who works in the industry. You just constantly collaborate. You win one project and you share it between all of you. And you don't have the pressure of constantly paying hundreds and thousands of staff members and making sure you take every single project you can, because you have to sustain that.
Yeah, that kills creativity, that sort of tension, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like the future is potentially small, but very bright. But if anyone is interested in this report, we'll share the link on this. But if you would go to research.futurelondonacademy.co.uk, it's also available to download there. But we'll share the link here. Many interesting things there, from like what people actually want to see in the company. So if you're hiring, it's also quite interesting to see whether people are going just for the salary or they want mission and values. And spoiler alert, they want both. But yeah, hopefully whoever's listening will explore and let us know also, like, maybe what you disagree with, what do you have strong opinions about, because it's also interesting to see how creative industry in general is very different in different companies, in different countries, in different communities. So diversity is what I suppose makes it so beautiful.
Yeah, wonderful. So we talked about design leadership and sort of what's the future of creativity. If we kind of zoom in right now on creativity and entrepreneurship and running a creative company, these days, right? When there's so much competition, everyone is really you're competing almost in a global landscape, right? Because anyone can hire anyone from anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, often probably you still prefer to hire people who are close by, but still that sort of global marketplace is accessible for anyone. So how do you see creativity and entrepreneurship coming together, and what are the challenges of running the Future London Academy for you?
Great question. And again, I'm a positive person. Probably, I hope it's clear from this conversation that I see everything as an opportunity, and I see future as a bright perspective. So I think as any founder leader, you constantly face lots of tough decisions and challenges. I think that's literally comes with a job. And I think that's what we sign up for. And I suppose what I learned throughout, whether when I was working as a creative director in different companies or whether it is from running my own company, leadership overall can be confusing, challenging, and the kind of the most challenging part of it is that there is no one you can talk to about it, because if you are the one at the top, then kind of who decisions stop with you. I'm very lucky to have a co-founder, so that definitely is, if anyone is ever wanting to start a company, do find a co-founder that you actually like hanging out with. I'm lucky to run it with my best friend, so it is an incredible privilege to have someone you can share the best and the lowest moments in your life at all times. But in general, it's very important to have a community of people around you who will understand what you're going through. And however you can find that community, I would say go for it, because you have to offload your challenges and discuss them with someone and get someone else's perspective, because this is so important to see how someone else solved this problem, how someone else went through this, and just know that it's okay. Like, someone else is feeling the same way. It's nothing wrong with you. It's difficult because it feels difficult because it is difficult. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's just what it is. And that's what we hear actually from our executive MBA program at Future London Academy. That's what, because it is such a strong community, people obviously go through this experience for a year and they really, really bond, and they all very incredibly successful, ambitious people with 15, 20, 25 years of experience, founders, creative directors, heads of design from some of the top organizations. And suddenly they're in the same room. And after, I suppose, a few weeks of like just showing, I suppose, your best side and kind of sharing all the great things you've done, at some point your guard drops and you actually share all the things that are on your mind and you're going through. And it is so incredible to watch what kind of bond it creates and how it provides that safe space for everyone to support each other, to genuinely cheer for each other, but also kind of help when someone needs just to talk or needs advice or needs a different perspective. So whoever is listening, if you're a founder, entrepreneur, find that community of people for yourself. Again, I have a co-founder, which I'm lucky to have. I have other founders that I constantly hang out with. And it's incredible to have that support network that you can always talk to, you can always share things with, and you won't be judged because they also been through this, they've done it, they know how hard it is, and they'll understand you. You don't need to explain what you're doing. So I suppose one is just about psychological part of being a founder and importance of finding your community of people. And on that note, I was listening to a podcast, and someone said like they found kind of these three things that are important as a founder. So one is the having the community. One is about having three different identities or multiple different identities. So not assigning yourself like, I don't know, just the work identity. I'm like the founder, creative director, but having like, I'm a friend or like a husband or a wife or a partner or a daughter, whatever this is, having that identity that so you're like, okay, everything is not working out in my job right now, but at least I'm a good daughter or I'm a good friend. At least I'm the one that, I don't know, supports my friends. And that kind of provides a balance. And ideally, you want to have a third identity. In my case, I do sports, and it's incredible to have like a completely different community of people. So I do martial arts, Thai boxing, Muay Thai, and the community there has no clue what I do for life, like absolutely no clue. And it's incredible to have that part of your life where you meet people multiple times a week, you train together, you have lots of shared interests and values, but also you have parts of your life you're completely unaware of. And it's quite liberating. And I suppose because we've all been doing it for years, we then find out that, yeah, there are like other CEOs in the room. There are like famous chefs. There are like lots of people who are like coming from so many different walks of life, but you know them as this person who can kick well, or this person who is like very good at that. And that's again like provides this other identity. I don't know if you are not very good friend this week. Maybe your work is not doing as well, or you have a challenging project that is really, really draining your energy. But at least I'm so good at my sports. Look at my new achievement, whether you're a runner or whatever this is in your control. So finding these multiple identities, I feel like it's a nice way to actually, yeah,
Stay
think about,
afloat.
yeah, stay afloat, exactly.
Right, right. It's always kind of finding a balance. One time it's more successful in one part of your life, the other on the
Yeah,
other, and as long as
it
you're not
balances out.
right. So a lot of our listeners are studio, like design studio owners and branding studio owners, right? So uh, small structures, like very creative people. And we talked a lot about like designers who are leading teams within the big organizations. How do you see the life of small studios in this context of creativity and working with brands based on what brands are needing? How is their role maybe gonna shift or become more important or just diversify? What's your view on the future of small design studios?
The future is very bright. As I mentioned before, I think this is literally the best time to be a small company, the small team. Like, first of all, you can do so much with technologies that are out there, so you don't need to grow big. Like, you literally don't need to have massive teams to deliver the same results. But also, actually, clients are looking more for smaller agencies and smaller teams that they can have this human interaction with. They can be their best clients and not be one of 1,000 other clients that this team is dealing with. So it is really, really great time for any owner of whether it is branding agency, creative agency, or anything else to really shine. And I suppose there are a few parts to it. So one is really doubling down on your identity as a creative agency, because clients want something unique. I think there is so much consolidations that are happening in the industry. I'm sure you'll read the news. The WPP consolidates all of their companies. Some of them will be renamed and rebranded. So the world that I suppose we grew up in, where we knew like Wafolin, AKQA, Pentagram, with new brands. And by the way, Pentagram is still independent and still thriving, which is a great example of how you can create a company out of lots of small companies and still function as a big company. But overall, there is so much consolidation in the industry, and what it means that there is less and less differentiation between agencies. So clients are very confused at the moment. What's the difference for me for going from one agency versus another one? It does seem like they're part of the same group. They might even change the name a few times. So what is there for me? So if you are a small agency, that's your unique opportunity to come in and say, this is what we stand for. This is what we're really good at. And you don't need to be good at everything. That's the beauty. You need to be good at certain things or stand for certain things, whether it is, I think Hey Studio is a wonderful example. I know you had Veronica on your podcast as well, and she's an absolutely wonderful human and also a dear friend. And I think they are such a fantastic example of a company that made a strategic decision of not growing, and they decided to have a very distinct style. All the branding that they do has very distinct style, and they decided and realized that probably if they want to keep doing this type of work, because this is the type of work they love, they cannot have every single client on the planet, because this type of work would not fit every single client on the planet. So therefore, there is no point trying to grow a massive team and try to win every single client. It's better to stay small, and actually for clients who want this thing, they will always go to Hey Studio, because they're known for their bright colors and beautiful, bold identities and playfulness and quirkiness and all these great things. And everyone who wants it will go to Hey Studio. No
Yes,
hesitation.
they have carved out such a strong, unique identity in the industry that it's like if you need one this, just like you said, that's the place to go, right? It's very smart.
And this is, I feel like that will be the future. Companies who will take things differently. Another shout out I would give to okay cool, that's I suppose social media first. I'm not even sure how they define themselves now, but they used to be kind of more around social media and trends and what's happening in culture overall, wherever the culture shows up, whether it is in social media or in other places. And they really understand culture of like, what are the youngsters doing? What are the quirkiest trends and things, and how brands can show up there. Again, it's quite a potentially niche thing to do. And actually, they talk a lot about how brands overall moved from trying to win an audience of whatever demographic of 25 to 35 living and blah blah blah, and yes, we move to psychographic and we'll say whatever athlete who cares about health and likes green juice, whatever. But now it moved to this quirky audiences of one. You literally try to target a person with this weird thing that they love and obsessed with, and you talk to this one person with this very bizarre communication that only this person will understand. And turns out, because we are so global, there are enough of these odd people across the world that will create an audience for you. So even though you are talking to an audience of one, you are actually creating something very unique for very large audience because of the access to channels that we have. So yeah, finding your own quirky niches that now, maybe before it was too niche because there wouldn't be enough people who would be interested in. Now is the time to do that and reach the global clients, reach the global audience, do things at a bigger scale, because people are interested in something unique, something they haven't seen before, something that will surprise them, something that will delight them, and something that will stand out in the sea of sameness we all face right now.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's a great strategy, bro, both from the business side, but also just from general colorfulness in in the
Yeah.
world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's a great opportunity for a lot of people who are maybe suppressing their uniqueness to kind of finally release that
Oh, yeah.
press the gear on that more, right? And use that as their flag, right? Because otherwise, I think I totally agree with you that this wave of sameness, which is a lot generated by AI, is going to become so boring for people very soon, and people will recognize it. Like, I'm not against AI. I think it can be used very well in certain cases, but at least when it comes to branding and there is a danger of it just kind of becoming a flat line.
Yeah, but I feel like Sea of Same has always been there. I think since the beginning, it's so easy to do mediocre creative work because tools have been evolving and becoming easier and easier for the past 20 years. Like with the invention of Adobe, like it already became so easy to be a graphic designer. It doesn't mean that you're a good graphic designer if you have a tool, and same applies to any new tool that will always appear. So it is that unique perspective that creatives and designers bring that is the value.
So would you say that the future of branding is exactly lies in that, in brands finding those unique and maybe quirky, right, ways to stand out and connect with people, with niche groups, rather than being kind of generic for everyone. Maybe not on their kind of global branding side, but through certain campaigns that they run.
A great question. And short answer is yes. And I wouldn't even say campaigns because I think, and we have a long conversation about branding and campaigns and how brands should
Okay,
build,
I
because
would
this is
love
something
that.
I feel very passionate. Obviously, this is part of my upbringing and experience and work in the world of brands and building strong brands. So the interesting parts, the brands that do stand out, they do speak to the audience of one. And it's not a campaign, it's not a an ad, it is the core of a brand. The quirkier, the more unique you are, the more likely you will find your followers. Of course, as the brand grows, so first you kind of get your core audience of true believers, early adopters, and then when the brand grows, of course, it attracts more people from adjacent audiences and people who maybe do not connect with the original belief of the brand. And kind of same as what happened to Apple. It was originally for creative people and like these designers and everyone else, and now obviously everyone has an iPhone. But that started at that point. It was a very quirky thing to do, to create something for creatives. But now you can go even more narrow in terms of the audience that you talk to and still find your crowd that would really see you and really believe in you
And resonate with what you
and
do. Yeah.
resonate. Yeah, and they probably will connect much more with you than if you try to cater to too many different kind of audiences, beliefs and everything else. But it doesn't mean that your brand will be limited by the size of the audience, because it will be natural that you'll start growing and gaining more traction. But obviously the downside of this approach, that you need to be very smart where you find these people. So just as with anything, as with any brand or product, just creating something great is not enough. You need to put it in front of people who will see it. So that's where all the other skills come that you need to understand, from marketing to pricing to sales to everything else, to make sure that, yes, your fantastic product that will benefit the audience that you really, really understand, that this audience actually sees it and sees the value that it can bring. That's where all the other parts of the business come in.
Right, right. So like a good branding or brand storytelling, right? It's almost like you, yes, it starts with all what you believe, and you need to carry, right, that belief system through it. It's almost like a certain philosophy that needs to be communicated, right? A certain preaching, if we can say so, because I think especially the younger audience, they are looking for identity. They feel it can belong, right? It's not just the product that you are buying. It's like it's the whole it's the whole thing of the brand, what they stand for, why they do what they do, right? So you buy more than just the product or the service.
100%. And I feel like, in general, if anyone listening works in the world of branding, again, branding is probably the best industry to be in right now, because that's the thing that creates long term success with things that are changing so fast. Like, people get bored of things, people kind of move on to things, and again, new products appear. It's so easy to copy a product, vibe code something that already exists. So the only thing that creates loyalty, creates your audience, and actually creates a sustainable business is what you stand for as a brand. And brand, from capital B, obviously, it's not just branding as the expression of your brand. It's all the other things that part of your value system, your internal brand, what do you stand for, what's your culture like in the company, all of these things. That's what built a brand. Who you are as a founder as well, again, very much founder-led brands, yeah, now on the rise. So yes, that is the most exciting time to build strong brands, because this will be your only competitive advantage. It's a long-term investment. It's not gonna give you returns straight away, but if you constantly invest in your brand, in 10, 20 years, this is the only strategy that will help you survive against competition.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I think in with AI doing so many things, like people is the only way that you'll be able to kind of form that stronger, deeper bond, right, with other people who are eventually actually your customers.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, people to people is gonna become a, a rare interaction.
Well, I hope not. I do believe, like with any with any trend, there's always anti-trend. And you're right. I feel like humans in general interact in real life less. Even we are on Zoom, or any other technology, rather than being in real life. Which, how podcasts used to be recorded. Remember that time where we
Yeah,
had
it
to be in the
used
same
to
room?
be.
Uh, but again, brings its own opportunities and possibilities. But I do believe, actually, there are people are craving more real human interaction. It's obviously will be more expensive from financial point of view, but also from resource point of view. You need more time to see a friend in real life than to message them or follow them on Instagram. It's always more, you need more resources to do something in person. But it also provides the biggest returns, because these are connections that stay longer. This is the way we really emotionally connect, and our hormones and endorphins, they don't lie. They know when we're in a room with a human versus when we're on Zoom. So yeah, I do believe that there will be a big swing towards human things. We just will be more selective about when we use real life connections as a brand or as humans and friends, and when we use technology to do everything else.
Right, exactly. So, like you said, going back to having that local community around you, right, is super important to stay strong, stay grounded, and connected.
Yeah.
So then you can use technology for for its best, and but have someone to resort to when you also need that in the form of humans.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And again, I think uh, I, as Futureland Academy, obviously we believe in connecting humans, and I hear more and more from the community that the, like, even from 13 years of us running the company, the need for human connection is only going up. And I think anyone who works in any sort of business, I feel like it's right. It's a good time to think how you can go, I suppose, anti-trend. If everyone is trying to make it more efficient, how you can do something in a more human way that won't be the most efficient, but probably will be the most human. So
And impactful in that
yeah,
regard. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Ekaterina, for your time, for these wonderful insights. You have this great global view of what's happening in the design community. So it's really painted a great picture. I hope all the listeners and watchers on YouTube will appreciate that as much as I did. So yes, if you are listening to us on Spotify, please go to our blog, bloomerangas.com/blog, where you'll find more information about Ekaterina. Of course, you can Google Future London Academy, like just like she said, and check out the Future of Creativity report, which is going to be very insightful and inspiring as well.
Thank you so much, Egle. It was such a pleasure being on this podcast. And I hope that whoever is listening will bring more beauty, creativity, positive impact in the world, because I feel like we need all creative power to make this world better. So I hope this gave people a glimpse of hope that it's possible. But if anyone wants to connect with me, I'm always super friendly on LinkedIn. So please search my name, Ekaterina Solomeina. It will be in the title or in the show notes for this. I know it's a very long name, but also, as Egle said, please do follow Future London Academy. We constantly try to provide more inspiration and useful tips for anyone in senior positions in a creative industry. So check out our YouTube, Instagram, wherever you find your inspiration. We have lots of great free content that you might enjoy.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you. Until the next time.
Thank you. Bye.